Who is your dream free agent target? I am Harrison Graham here on Chicago Bears Now. Today's video, 15 players the Bears could target in free agency. But I want to hear from you guys first. Who is your dream free agent target? If you don't know a lot of the big name free agents, we'll go ahead and show you some right now. Dak Prescott is first up here. Obviously, the quarterback of the Cowboys is the biggest free agent this year, as he was last year. Now, let's just prelude this with the ultimate long shot, right? Because reports are already out that the Cowboys are expected to tag him if they can't reach a long-term deal, just like they did last year. That being said, I was going to mention him. He's easily the best quarterback available on the open market. I say open in air quotes here because 99.9% chance he's back with the Cowboys, but 0.1% chance we'll talk about him. Obviously, if for some reason they didn't tag him or whatever, the Bears should have interest, and he is the top free agent quarterback available, so I'm obviously interested. Is it likely? No. Is it going to happen? I'd be very, very surprised. Now, the other quarterback that we've talked about a lot in a similar realm is Deshaun Watson. Which one would you rather have? Type DP for Dak Prescott, type DW for Deshaun Watson. If all things were equal, which quarterback would you rather have? Go ahead and answer that one for me down below. Next up is Jameis Winston, a more realistic free agent quarterback, I would say. Back up in 2020 with the Saints, played a little bit in a pinch. The weird thing that happened is when Drew Brees got hurt, they actually turned to Taysom Hill for 4 games, and he actually played all right. So I don't know what that says about Jameis. Obviously, we know he's a gunslinger. He's reckless. 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions in 2019. But he's talented. He threw for over 5,000 yards under Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich in 2019. He's shown a lot of flashes in his career, but there's some character concerns. He's been very inconsistent. The whole squinting things, I don't know if he could actually see receivers when he throws. He's just launching the ball at dudes. A little bit of an exaggeration there. But my point is, he's been very up and down. This is like we swung out on every guy, so let's pay cheap for Jameis and see what he can do. That's what happens if you end up with Jameis Winston. How should the Bears address quarterback? Type F for free agency, type D for draft, type T for trade. Let's hear it from you guys. How should the Bears address quarterback this offseason? Next up is Kenny GOLLADAY, the wide receiver for the Detroit Lions. And he had a ton of injuries this past season, which, yeah, that's a little bit of a concern. I will say this. If you lose Allen Robinson, hashtag sign AR, I'm not giving up, but if you do, this is your best option. Kenny GOLLADAY is the best option in terms of a similar player. He's a big-time receiver. He's only 27 years old. Downfield threat as well. We'll see if Detroit keeps him or not. I assume they'll try to with new quarterback Jared Goff. But I already mentioned it once. You know what to do. Hashtag sign AR in the comments. Also on Twitter as well. You can tag me in your tweets. Let's make sure Ryan Pace doesn't screw this one up like he has so many others in the past. Curtis Samuel next up on our Bears free agent targets video. Fun player. He can do a lot of different things in an offense. He can play in the slot. You can put him in motion. He can run the football. Would be a major upgrade over Anthony Miller, by the way. Could you imagine Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, and Curtis Samuel in the same offense? You get the right quarterback in there. That is explosive at the wide receiver position. Let's just be clear, though. Curtis Samuel is not an Allen Robinson replacement. If you lose A-Rob, you better go get a guy like Kenny GOLLADAY or draft one of these dudes in the first round because that is not Curtis Samuel's game whatsoever. Corey Davis, one more receiver here that I'll mention. Career year this past year with Tennessee, 984 yards and 5 touchdowns. To me, though, he's a high-end number 2. I think we saw him have a big-time season because A.J. Brown emerged as a dominant number 1 on the other side of him, which means Davis got opportunities as a number 2 receiver and took advantage of those. So I don't think he's not, an A-Rob replacement. If you lose A-Rob and get Davis, that's salvaging a little bit, but I don't think he's going to be nearly as effective because there's not that number 1 receiver on the other side. I'll be curious to see what Corey Davis's market is this offseason. Get subscribed to the channel because we have Bears rumors, news, free agency, draft, all kinds of coverage for you guys all offseason long. Hit that big red button and subscribe. Plus, today's video, we're talking about 15 players the Bears can sign in free agency, not their own free agents. Just recently, I broke down all 30 of the Bears free agents and whether or not they could bring them back. Go check that video out. It's youtube.com/BearsNow. Go to recent videos. You can find that one and all of our videos here on Chicago Bears Now. Cam Robinson is next up. Obviously, the big boys up front needs to be a focus. Good, not a great left tackle. There's been some chatter that the Jags might let the 2016 first-round pick go. We'll see if that actually ends up happening. I think they would like to keep him to protect Trevor Lawrence, but it will come down to money. Clearly an upgrade over Charles Leno at left tackle. Again, he's not elite, but he's better than Leno, no doubt about it. Ryan Pace simply has to address offensive line this offseason. That's why I got a couple more here. DARYL Williams. Will the real DARYL Williams please stand up? Buffalo Bills right tackle. Coming off a good year, played well protecting Josh Allen this year. I think you could cut Bobby Massey and plug in Williams as your right tackle. And I think the money would be pretty similar there, and you would upgrade. So, you know, you could save $6-7 million by cutting Massey. You sign Williams, probably $6 to $8 million. That kind of cancels each other out, and you upgrade in the process. I think it could make sense. We'll see if it ends up happening. Do you trust Ryan Pace as a general manager? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I think he has some good attributes. Do I want him making all the calls? Absolutely not. So I'm going to type my N for no on that one. Russell Okung, and this is kind of one of the wild cards to me in free agency because the injuries and the age. Only played in 7 games last year, dealt with a nagging calf injury that just wouldn't go away. When he's healthy, one of the better left tackles out there, but got to be 33 next year. That's a bit of a red flag. He's older. Maybe you could sign him to an incentive type of deal where, you know, $4 or $5 million base, and then he can make up to 10 or 12 based on games played. I'd be down for something like that. I don't know if I'd give him 13 or 14 million though on a 1-year deal with the unknown due to injuries. Something that's not unknown is Valentine's Day. Guys, it's almost here. You better get your wife or girlfriend some flowers. Otherwise, you're going to be in the damn doghouse, and you don't want to be there. Chatsports.com/flowers. Tons of different flower arrangements, including the ones we are showing you on screen. And there's gift packages as well. Flowers and gifts on sale. 15% off when you use that link. It's chatsports.com/flowers. Chatsports.com/flowers. You can get these, what do you call these, Brett? Chocolate towers. Hey, you want to get in on the action as well? You can take advantage. Chatsports.com/flowers. Flowers, donuts, sweets, all kinds of stuff. 15% off when you go to that link. It's in the comments and in the description. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Tano Passanio, yes, that's how you say his name. Spent the first 4 seasons with the Chiefs. We'll see what his market is. He kind of had a down year in 2020 after a breakout 2019 in which he had 4 sacks. I think he'll be cheap. We'll see if Kansas City brings him back. I like his size in a 3-4 scheme as a defensive end, 6'7", 290. That's ideal size for a defensive end in a 3-4 scheme, which is what the Bears run. Solid rotation player, not a starter by any means, but a good value guy that you could sign in free agency. Benson Mayowa, similar ilk here, not quite as big, but I think he could play DE or outside linebacker in pure pass rush situations. He's quietly had 4+ sacks in each of the past 3 years, including 6 this last year. What I like about Benson Mayowa, he knows his role. He knows he's not an every down guy. He comes in, plays 30 snaps a game, and gets after the quarterback. I like that. He doesn't cost a lot of money. $3 million last year. If you can get him for 3 or 4, I'm down. He'd probably be better than Robert Quinn. Quinn sucked this year, and he'd be a lot cheaper as well. Mike PENNEL, we talked about this all year. The Bears really never had a true nose tackle after Eddie Goldman opted out. You're going to get Goldman back. I think PENNEL's an ideal backup, though. He played a big role in the Chiefs 2 seasons ago when they won the Super Bowl. Wasn't as impactful this year, but they also found a couple of other guys in the draft and so forth, so he didn't play as much, but good run stopper, massive frame at 6'4", 330. You bring him in, 20, 25 snaps a game, stops the run. He's a pretty effective player at doing just that, and he's going to be very, very cheap. How excited are you about Eddie Goldman's return? I know I'm thrilled. Scale it from 1 to 10. The Bears struggled to stop the run at times last year. I'm at about a 9. I think not having him was a bigger deal than we probably talked about throughout the season. I'm going to give it a 9. Let me know how excited you guys are to get Eddie Goldman back in 2021. I almost said 2020 there. Nicholas Morrow kind of had a breakout season for the Raiders this past year. 3 sacks, played better in coverage at 6'1", 230. He's a guy that's rangy. I think you could
play him at multiple spots. He's got some versatility there. I think he'd be cheap as well. We'll see what the Raiders end up doing with him, but the Bears did not have a ton of linebacker depth. Their starting linebackers are great, not a lot of depth there. I think Morrow could be a nice depth piece. Malik Hooker, one of the bigger, unknowns this free agency period because he tore his Achilles after two games this past season. Very talented, but he can't stay healthy. That being said, I'd throw a flyer on him on a one-year deal. This is probably one of those you don't want to pay Tayshaun Gibson if a market develops for him. We'll throw 1 year and $3 million at Malik Hooker. I could see something like that happening. We'll just have to wait and see. Would you sign Malik Hooker? Obviously, it's risky. Type S for sign, type D for don't. I think it's worth the risk because I don't think money's going to be too much of a factor here. I take a shot at him. Hey, he was supposed to be a beast coming out of college, and when he's played pretty darn well. Just can't stay healthy. Hopefully he can stay healthy in 2021. DARQUEZE DENNARD, the nickel corner for the Falcons, obviously started his career with Cincinnati. I use the top nickel on the market. The problem is what happens with Buster Screen. I think he's going to get cut. Now, he ended last year with that concussion and never cleared protocol. I don't know what the status on that is. Hopefully he's okay there, but I think he's set to count like $6 million against the Bears cap this year. You can save like $3.5 million by cutting him. I think that's pretty likely. DENNARD's versatile, can play some outside. He's much better in the slot, but if you have Fuller and Johnson on the outside and then DENNARD as your nickel corner, I think you're feeling pretty good about where your secondary sits. Jason Verrett, speaking of injuries with Hooker, Verrett, that's been the story of his career, but in 2020, he played in 13 games and played pretty damn well for the San Francisco 49ers. Physical corner, he can play nickel, he can play outside. The only red flag here is injuries. I mean, the 3 seasons before 2020, he played in 6 total games. I thought his career was over. The Niners brought him back on like a 1-year nothing deal, and look at what he did. 2 interceptions, 7 pass breakups, 60 tackles. Played pretty well. Pro Football Focus gave him like a 80 grade or something. He was like a top 12 corner according to their rankings there. So cheap 1-year deal, I'm down. If he's healthy, he's still a really good player. Now, we asked you this question at the beginning. We'll ask you it one more time. Who is your dream free agent target? You got one name. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Dream free agent target for the Chicago Bears.